Is it me, or are people who work really hard in their jobs or at school mostly rewarded with more work? Yes, this is true. Additionally, the ones who care are also left to pick up the slack for those who don't. Office Space 2000 hit the nail on the head. Peter Gibbons. That's my only real motivation, is not to be hassled. That and the fear of losing my job. But you know, Bob, that will only make someone work just hard enough not to get fired. Spot on. I think most are well aware of this typical fruit of labor, but willing to persevere with hopes that one day it'll fruit recognition, promotion. I'll have you know, I just hit 11 years at my job and got rewarded with an engraved cup and $50 gift card for my 10-year anniversary they forgot about last year. Yes, you have to thread the needle between not getting fired, not getting work that other people dodge dumped on you, and not getting undesirable promotions that come with more work, but only marginal increases in pay. There's a lot of strategy involved. Yup, people who are good at what they do tend to become specialists and the only ones who can do certain tasks, meaning they don't get promoted out of that role, because who else would do the task that only they would do? That's how it seems to work in my company. Crap weasels tend to get promoted up and away from anything that they can frick up. This is exactly true. Your reward isn't a nice relaxing break or a raise. It's "oh, here, since you're good at this, you should be able to do the work of 3 people with no raise." I've explained this to my superior once. He told me, "Your generation only wanted paychecks. You never appreciate the process in getting that paycheck. You should be thankful you have a job," etc. That coming from a 60-year-old guy who is still working. I never wanted to be that guy who doesn't have a choice but to work hard and never work smart. Why too many people were brought up to think that their purpose in life was directly tied to what they did for a living and how much money they made doing it. That's what's so soul-sucking about corporate work. I'm glad my generation is learning quickly that work is something we do, but rarely who we are. Yet pretty much. Good example is when I worked as housekeeping for 2 summers in university. I was a quick and hard worker, so I'd usually finish cleaning my assigned rooms before my co-workers. My boss would usually get me to stay. We technically could be done our shift when we finished our rooms and help the slow workers. So that means if we all got 12-15 rooms assigned, I'd do my 15 rooms by myself and then usually go and do 3 or so of other people's rooms for them too. We'd be paid the same since we'd clock out at the same time, but I'd do much more work. Strangely enough, on the days when I'd be having a bad day and my rooms were taking a long time, the co-workers I'd always have to help would most of the time not help me and would leave when their rooms were done. Whoa, that sucks that they didn't return the favor. As others have said, yep, sign of bad management and a bad company if it never yields more money or a better position. It can still pay off to work hard, and minimum wage job, it's pretty much all BS. So keep out of trouble and work for something better. Yep, you're right. Even just showing up on time every day gets me extra work that no one would dare trust the chronically late people with. It sucks, but I try to take it as a compliment. It's not. This is exactly why I won't get a PhD and continue to work in academia. I have my master's and I work as a researcher. My supervisor used to try to push me to go that route and I'm like, number. I don't want to stay up until 2 AM and wake up 6 AM to work every day like you. Boundaries are important. Academia is the absolute worst, such that I'm leaving after close to a decade with no real plan but enough savings to finally say, frick it. Kudos on being smart enough to avoid continuing on to a PhD. Yes, that is generally true. It seems like the best approach is to be in the upper 75-85% or so because you are recognized as being good but not the expert, so you aren't overloaded, but also not at risk of getting cut. Some places don't promote the top people because they are seen as a needed person for their role and it would take a few people to replace them. So oftentimes, someone a bit under them gets the promotion instead. Kind of a dong move, but it happens. The quality of work I do correlates to the quality of pay I receive. Nowadays everyone thinks that if your boss gives you a task you need to do it, regardless of whose job it is. This is how you move up in the world, they will say. Number. That is how you become a stepping stone for your bosses to continue moving on up. Know your freaking worth and stop bending over backwards for people who see you as just another cog in the wheel. If you keep putting extra work on your plate just to lay down and accept it, pretty soon that extra work will fall under your job description while your boss is pocketing the money they save by making your dumb boss do double the work. Know your worth. Grow a backbone. And for God's sake stop believing that if you work harder you will be successful. It's not always the case. This is absolutely the case. I have found myself in that position on many occasions. I hate to sound like I'm bragging, but at work everyone always seems to want me on their work group or committee. I often become the go-to person because people know I will either have the answer or know how to find the answer, which anyone could do, but I guess most people are too lazy. I'm the one that the boss comes to when he needs something done quickly and correctly, and he's even told me that I'm the one he trusts most to get things done. It's a good feeling and sometimes a frustrating feeling. I work in public service and job security is very high, so it's not like I do it because I want to make sure I keep my job. People can get away with doing far less around here, but I keep doing it, despite the drawbacks, because I feel it's the right thing to do. I simply can't see any other way than giving my best every day. I would feel ashamed of myself otherwise. Dude, same. I am proud of my work, and it leads to better job and life satisfaction. I remember the one job I worked my butt off at and picked up others people's slack thinking I am doing good and that they'd eventually promote me, but what ends up happening is working with teenagers, they're doing dangerous crap in the back while I am cleaning and I get blamed for it. They have me sign a write-up basically and fire the teenager but put blame on me cause I shouldn't have been doing too much work to give that teenager free time to frick around. Yes, this was said to me. I had an entire meltdown at that place before I left. It was terrible. I was one of the hardest workers and got treated like crap until I soaked up that toxic behavior and let it out while working. Also got suspended once because my other teenager co-worker walked out on balls and left me to clean the entire bakery department by myself. It's usually 2-3 of us. So I said frick that and walked out since he did the same. Nothing really happened to the teenager. He was eventually taken off the schedule. I guess cause they didn't see it but me? I'm the older responsible one so I have to do it myself, right buttholes. They'll punish hard workers but slap the wrists of the most idiotic, lazy, toxic suckers. If meritocracy were real and not a fictitious marketing tool, the world would be an infinitely better place. If you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. He makes $1, I make a dime. That's why I crap on company time. Dozens of these adages have been scrawled on toilet walls for millennia and speak to the imbalance of the task reward in work. Related, I always crap on company time because of the Joker quote from The Dark Knight. If you're good at something, never do it for free. There's an old adage that 20% of the people do 80% of the work. Managers know which employees they can rely on should hopefully reward them. The only problem with that is very often the management are not in that 20%. Yes, a million times yes. Last year I learned that hard work is not rewarded with praise or even recognition. What is rewarded is intellectual theft and using other people's hard work as rungs on their career ladder. Yes and no. If you manage your workload properly and know when to say no, it is good. I work a corporate job and I am very efficient at my work. Usually appear busy and do stuff most people don't understand. This lets me do most of my job in probably 10-30 hours most weeks, whereas my colleagues are usually drowning working 60+ hours. And before you ask, it isn't the type of job where I can do parts of their jobs. Never understood why people brag about having a type A personality and putting so much on their plate. Some people even feel guilty when they relax. And it's so obvious, any boss manager who doesn't see that and immediately take advantage of it must be really incompetent. I've had this discussion with a friend of mine who's getting his PhD. We were talking about my job. I'm a translator, and he asked me how fast can I translate one page. I told him it depends, but I can probably do a page an hour, give or take. Only one, he asks. And I explained to him that I could do it faster, but end up burning myself out at that pace by the time I'm through with the project. He tells me if you're not absolutely pooped by the time you're done with work, it's too easy for you. You need something more challenging or larger volume. I asked him why on earth would I do that if I make enough as it is. You need to challenge yourself. He simply didn't get that I challenge myself in other ways that have nothing with work or contributing to society. I challenge myself to be a better mountaineer, to take better photos, to be a better friend. This is very true. I left few jobs due to this. In my current job, the guy who interviewed me ADK what would be the reason if I ever decide to leave this job? My answer was when you load me with more job and responsibility once you realize how capable I am. It's 100% true. Currently fighting a battle at my office because of this exact thing. Workload since COVID is increasing for the good people and the bad people are getting away with doing even less than they had done. This is my problem. I go 100% and can't not. My employers take advantage and I never get a raise or promotion, and about every year I find something higher paying and go to that. Wash, rinse, repeat. It's true in my experience. I try and work my butt off at my job and do the job well, and they have rewarded me with more work than is reasonable during a 40-hour work week. I have also been given an anxiety disorder for all my work and stress. Lucky me. Absolutely. Anytime I've ever gone above and beyond at work or been the highest performing employee, it's either been completely ignored or I've been rewarded with more work, extra responsibilities, and of course no pay raise. Even though the rest of the thread seems to be largely saying yes, I'm going to say often not. If you work hard in school, your better results will give you more opportunities. You'll have a bigger selection of further education to pick from, and you may happen to get a scholarship or something like that. However, if you don't plan to do any further education and the job you want doesn't need great school marks, then working hard at school doesn't help you much. If you do well at your job, it will be more secure and you'll be more considered for promotions. If you work for some massive corporation or something where your work is hardly noticed, then it may not help much to do extra work. Though, I work at a pizza place and a lot of people might think this is a pointless low-paying job. What's the point in trying? But I've been a reliable worker and now I'm the manager and get paid more than everyone else with other benefits. Doing something in a higher position is not necessarily more work either. There's more aspects to it and you'll have more responsibility generally, but that doesn't necessarily equate to having to do more work. I think overall, the harder you work, the more opportunities you make for yourself, either in your current job or potentially for your next one. Had this happen in one of my uni classes. Throughout the semester we had to show improvement, but since I set the bar so high with my papers from the start, I had to keep writing more to show improvement. My peers who did the bare minimum only had to write 2. Absolute crap. I remember being a cashier at a grocery chain. I wanted to be super fast, scanning, bagging at warp speed. I grew a steady stream of favorites who would come through my cash knowing it would be super fast. Even had a couple of older customers accuse me of just trying to get rid of them. Then at one point I realized my line moves the fastest, therefore more people just come to my line. LOL. Didn't stop though. Speed is life. This is the best example of if you work harder you get more work. It's not you, and it's never enough either. It's never good enough, fast enough, neat enough, and you always have something to improve upon. It can get really exhausting. The problem is that yes, you are rewarded with more hard work. If you like to do a bunch of work, you become the workhorse. Workhorse does work, and you will do more work than anyone in the company. You won't be rewarded, other than just your normal wage. Just like everyone else, you will be doing a bulk majority of the work, but it won't matter. You won't collect any bigger bonuses than anyone else, if you receive any bonus at all. And most of the time most people in management will not bother asking your ideas or thoughts or input, because you are a freaking workhorse. You don't have thoughts and ideas. You freaking churn production numbers. Why the frick would anyone wanna ask you to do anything else when you made it your number one priority to do the workload of 3 or 4 people? They will ask for others' opinions who are less bogged down in churning out work and more focused on other businesses' endeavors. Working hard isn't rewarded because lots of people can work hard. Vision, creativity, and leadership are what America rewards. Short term, likely yes. In the long term though, people who learn to work more productively get ahead, and people who work hard continue to get work they can handle. Not if you're clever about it. Work hard on what you want to accomplish for your career goals and be willing to look for and land a better job every few years. With governors preventing the normal operation of businesses right now, that makes it harder. But don't let yourself get stuck, or you'll probably just be rewarded with more work. Help. I'm in this picture and I don't like it. Seriously, though, at my job I ended up taking a few shifts for a co-worker and my job saw that as cause to give me all their work. Yes, it's totally true. If you're a hard worker, they'll put more work and you'll end having no life besides your job. You need to put limits. 100% correct. I feel like the saying work smart, not hard takes on a different meaning. Something I am trying to do in my career, and failing at, is taking on less, but heavily polishing anything I deliver. One amazing thing is more impressive than 10 alright things in the eyes of upper management. Hard work is good, but integrity is more important. Do what is right at work but pace yourself. There is a term called managing your manager. Basically, you deliver results in a timely manner but deliver those results so you are not overworked. Anyone can manage but very few can lead. A manager will work you to the bone and give you more work as long as you keep delivering ahead of expectation. A leader will see you for what you are and not overwork you. You need to be Scotty on the Enterprise. The ship get hit and the reactor core goes out. Captain Kirk calls Scotty in engineering and says, "Scotty, I need those engines. How long will it take?" Scotty says 8 hours. Knows it will only take 4 hours. Captain Kirk says, "Okay Scotty, get on it." Scotty calls back in 4 hours that everything is fixed. Captain Kirk says, "Scotty, you are the best engineer in Starfleet." Scotty managed his manager. Hope that helps. Do your best work but with integrity first. I can totally 100% say this is a fact. If you prove yourself to be competent and get things done, more things will asked of you. Crap runs downhill, I believe is the saying, and being lower on the totem can confirm. It would seem like it. I never let on how much I can do or how good fast I actually am, because they'll take advantage of me and I'll never get a break. I learned that the hard way at my last job. With this new job, I'm just taking it slow. Don't take this to mean that I don't try to do my job well or don't have a good work ethic. I just know what not to do in order to avoid putting myself in situations that make me miserable. I had exactly one job that was the exception to this rule. I was a web designer and it was a salary position. I got an extra personal day for every deadline I hit, and an additional extra day for deadlines I hit early. I could basically make my own schedule and my boss was really nice. Never happened again, but I've also never worked harder than I did for those extra personal days. Your boss understood how to make people care. Only two things are worth anything: time and money. Time being much more valuable than money. I feel this comment so hard. In the summer months we were understaffed. I already took care of 2 full-time jobs, and when I managed this without too many delays and reply office desk job, my supervisor asked me to assist my colleagues with less work who couldn't manage. I was so mad. My request for a pay raise was also denied end of last year. I did the necessary. Kind of. People who are good at things get more work. If your goal is to be great at something, hard work helps. If your goal is to avoid working, then being bad at it helps. There are lots of other goals. Maintaining a basic income, having pride in what you do. If your job sucks and you don't really care to be great at it, then getting more work isn't appealing. I get that. I'm not here to judge anyone's goals. I'm a manager of a team, and I ask more from my hard-working, excellent employees than I do from the lesser ones. Because I want a great result. Of course, I try not to burn anyone out and recognize their accomplishments and reward them in other ways. $. But giving them less work would be counterproductive. Well, yes, if you're good at something you will be asked to do more of it. But this is not the reward. The reward should come in the form of increased salary, promotion, recognition, etc. Yes. I started working a week after I graduated in 2017. I've been promoted twice. Just hit the 2-year mark. I told my director this week that this job makes me miserable. I got a few dollars bump and the amount of responsibility and number of clients I'm responsible for has grown exponentially. I'd rather eat alone 3 meals a day than keep up this misery. Imagine if you have a mule who really work hard helping you with your stable. Now imagine you have one but that's really lazy. Now when you have some heavy lifting to do, who do you take for the job? Yes, conscientious workers are seldom rewarded and tend to cop blame for everything, while lazy ones who are shameless liars and self-promoters get fast-tracked up the ladder to the point where they can delegate 100% of their responsibilities. Personal experience and observation. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.